Lee Riches investigates. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I got breaking news, everyone. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. As I work out and get myself right, I'm thinking, what connection does Brian Kohlberger have to the victims? And
so I am in Tallahassee, Florida, and look at this. Right by the Florida State University, a Volkswagen. Ted Bundy.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy in Moscow, Idaho. Let's talk about the murder weapon, the knife. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. On December 27th, 2022, the day of my birthday, authorities went to the home of Brian Kohlberger's parents and went outside and went into their trash, got the trash bag, took it with them, got stuff out of the trash bag. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. We are going to talk about Brian Kohlberger and his whereabouts on the day of 11/13/2022. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy in Moscow, Idaho. Let's talk about the 4 a.m. DoorDash. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I'm out here getting my body right, working out. Let's talk about Brian Kohlberger. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. It is quite possible that Brian Kohlberger was targeting another home and another neighborhood. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates a new possible Brian Kohlberger sighting. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates Brian Kohlberger. He was in court today. Lake County, Idaho. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates Brian Kohlberger in his white Hyundai Elantra was seen on surveillance license plate. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. Brian Kohlberger lives next door to a high school. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates the parents of Kaylee Gonzalez. They speak. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. People were curious about the mysterious man seen at the Moscow home the other day. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. Brian Kohlberger was just booked by the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. New statement by Washington State University regarding Brian Kohlberger. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I got breaking news, everyone. Brian Kohlberger in downtown Moscow. I have a clip of Brian Kohlberger in downtown Moscow. I'm going to share that with you here right now. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. Let's talk about Brian Kohlberger and Taylor. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am sitting at my messy desk, and I want to talk about records requests. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy out of Moscow, Idaho. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am back out in front of the Chi Omega sorority house, Tallahassee, Florida. Ted Bundy. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am at a small regional airport. Brian Kohlberger. It's probably his last flight he takes in his entire life. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy in Moscow, Idaho. Brian Kohlberger. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy out of Moscow, Idaho. Authorities searched the apartment belonging to Brian Kohlberger. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy in Moscow, Idaho. The public defender. Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. Thank God authorities made an arrest in connection with the murders in Moscow, Idaho. Brian Kohlberger. Arrested. Taken off the streets. Good always prevails over evil, right? Now, the question is, how is Brian linked to the victims? But I've been digging around and good pizza. It's a DiGiorno. DiGiorno. DiGiorno.
If you bought